any amino acid now that comes from your whole food amino acid chain, like whey or any of the plant-based proteins or meat or whatever it is. If it's amino acid, it's gonna have nitrogen bonds. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing great and your workout's going good and your diet is just spot on. So this is one of those knowledge videos that I think I should be making more of. Before I go ahead and go talk about it, I should declare that, see, I'm not a nutritionist. I don't have any degree or anything. I'm an engineer by profession and I work as something else. YouTube or anything or health or fitness is not my profession. I'm just too much enthusiast about this thing, and I learned a lot of things while trying to reduce my body weight and build up some muscle. So that's the knowledge I'm sharing. And so, okay, you take whatever here or not is all entirely up to you. All right, let's just get down to it. So what we're going to talk about is, of course, what you see on the screen is amino spiking, or sometimes it's called protein spiking. So don't confuse it with protein boosting. It's amino spiking. Let's just stick to that. So if you understand, already heard this, then it's fine. If you haven't, then let me just explain it something quickly. What this essentially means is that if this is your whole whey protein scoop, and it says that it's a 25-gram scoop per 32 grams a serving, then with amino spiking, which is a malpractice by the nutritional companies or the supplement companies, is that they're actually going to give you somewhere around this, which is, let's say, around 18 grams of actually whole food protein that comes from whey, and fill up the rest with a bunch of garbage, which is essentially some of the preformed amino acid that you don't really require or that don't help you build some muscle. So you paid the price of 25 grams per 32 grams a scoop, but that's not exactly what you get. That's pretty much what we were talking about. If you know about it, you don't need to go through this video, but for fun you can. Or if you don't know, then it's just definitely something you gotta know before you go buy something on any of the sites as a whey protein or casein or whatever the hell it is. All right, so moving on to the next pointer here, that how do the supplement companies do this? Okay, so it's pretty simple. Basic chemistry here is that any amino acid now that comes from your whole food amino acid chain, like whey or any of the plant-based proteins or meat or whatever it is, if it's amino acid, it's gonna have nitrogen bonds. So you see these nitrogen molecules, that's what's going to be in there. Now that's going to be in your whole food protein compounds as well as your free form amino acids. Now, the test that is done worldwide, mostly and definitely in India, to check what's the content of protein in your powder is called NCT, or nitrogen content test. Why? Because your your compounds are having nitrogen. So if something can measure the total amount of nitrogen in the scoop, it can kind of predict or can tell or measure closely how much protein you got in that scoop. The loophole is this. Now let us just move on and we can understand what's the loophole. The loophole is that if it's the same test that just grabs nitrogen content, it can't tell the difference between where that nitrogen content came from, whether it came from the whole food source or the free form amino acid. So if I mix 18 grams of this with 5 grams this, so I get around 23 grams of some nitrogen based stuff out of, let's say, 30 grams a scoop. Then the test is gonna give me the whole 23 grams. It's not gonna tell 18. It's gonna say 23 per 30 grams, and that's a lot of content. And what I do, I go and buy it, and most of these companies are gonna sell it at a very cheap price. So if you see here, I have glycine, which is one of the really cheapest proteins, I mean amino acids. It's got a nitrogen bond. And here your whey protein, one of those general protein structure here, and that comes from whey protein, of course, that also has nitrogen bonds. So this test can't really distinguish between the two, and that's the major loophole. How to fake the test? Okay, they're gonna give you the test report. You see, lots of these companies are coming up on Amazon, and they're showing, or anywhere, they're showing this, pasting this logo of this lab test that they have done, and it says protein content by mass, and that's at 80%. That's a high amount, right? But that's where the problem is. Now, I'm going to talk about how this is done, or what's the law-wise loophole. So see, the trouble is, I'm not entirely sure what's the thing that is followed in India, but mostly FDA norms I know, and a lot of places around the world FDA norms are used, which is Food and Drug Administration of USA. What it says is that if you're selling free-form amino acids only, okay, only, you cannot label it as protein. That's a cool thing, and that's why you see bottles of BCAA, bottles of creatine, all these things. They sell glutamine. They don't say it's protein. And even Optimum Nutrition's amino something, they don't say protein something, right? They don't do that because they can't do it legally. However, what it says is also that if you got whole food protein already and you're adding free-form amino acid to that, you can still call it protein. Now that's the biggest problem. That means if I have like 20 grams, 30 grams or something in one scoop, or 10 grams maybe, and I bump it up with some free-form amino acid, that's okay, as long as that scoop has some sort of whole food protein, I can call it protein. And that's why, people generally find some way around it. So that's the law-wise loophole that you got in there, right? And the test-wise, I showed it already. So let's just move on to end this. So once you know this is pretty important, because now when you go and you check your stuff on Amazon or HealthCard or anywhere, all the sites, India, bodybuilding.com, doesn't really matter. You gotta check for the profile, and you gotta check for certain things that we'll come to that, which can help you identify. Although it's very difficult to identify directly, because no test tells how many different things it has. It generally tells what the whole content is, right? So, in the next thing that I want to talk about, that while you're actually while this is going on, is there any health-related trouble here? No, there's nothing. You don't have to worry. Amino acids are not supposed to do much of a health trouble. However, if you take in excess, let's say creatine, if you take in excess, sometimes you have kidney problems. But I think that's also something which doesn't have much of test results to support it. It probably body would flush it out, something like that. Now, the biggest problem is that, of course, monetary, because see, you're paying for something really cheap, which is your free-form amino acid, for something which is much higher in price, which is your whey protein, so or whey or any other sort of protein, plant protein or something. So your price value, that's what matters. I mean, please pardon my handwriting here. It's very difficult to write on the screen like this, but I'm trying my best. So that's the problem. You're spending a lot of money on really cheap products. That's all. It's not gonna generally cause any health trouble to you, I believe. But you do your research, of course. Now, while we know this, let's move on and understand what would be some of the ways you can identify if a product has amino spiking in it. So first of all, and this is one of the, best one to identify. It's like hallmark of most of those guys who do this. There is not going to be any amino acid profile. Now, this being said, that doesn't mean that everyone who doesn't have an amino acid profile listed on their product is gonna have amino spiking. That's one of the indicators they might have. Now, if the brand is pretty good and you feel that you're taking it and you're getting good effects and stuff, it might not be doing that, but that's one of the indicators that they just dump it, that protein content this much. That's it. Not much going on in there. Now, secondly, you might be saying this is a new trend that a lot of companies, even some of the fantastic companies from India who have come up, they're selling these weird products, which is like some products that have creatine, BCAA, glycine, all those things added to that, glutamine added to that. Now, you have to understand, if they say that they have those things added, that doesn't mean that if the protein content was, let's say, whey protein content was 22 grams per 30 grams. On top of that, they added these three things like X and Y and all that. No, that's not what's happening here. What this essentially means is that you're going to get about 15 plus X plus Y plus Z, all these things out of 30 grams. So this is your whole food protein source. This is amino acid, amino acid, amino acid. It doesn't matter if it's BCA, it's okay. But you're not paying BCA on top of the 22 grams, okay? You're paying BCA on top of 15 grams. The whole thing with your creatine and everything, it's making 22 grams. So you do the math, okay? It's simple math. You just don't go buy stuffs and then say, oh, it's got so many glutamine is there. So wow, creatine is there. I'm gonna be so full and I can push more and all that. ATP. Buy creatine. Creatine is essentially a very cheap product. You're gonna get 400 rupees. 300 rupees for a month's supply. Are you gonna get that much for whey protein? No. So why do you pay for it? So that's another indicator. Now, I messed up the screen. Let's clean it up. So the third indicator is that these are really two cheap amino acids, okay, glycine and taurine, and you're going to see a lot of labels there put together. So they say glycine and taurine that much. So that's also another indicator they're doing amino spiking. So I would say those protein sellers or supplement companies who list their protein profile, any of the international brands do, and that's why they're top notch, right? Muscle Blaze does. Hats up to them. They do that. That's a fantastic thing. I recently bought Sinew. They do it. I didn't see Grizzly doing it, and that's really bad because so far I've been having good effects from Grizzly, and I like the protein. I just wish they're not doing amino spiking, but if they're not, they should be putting the profile on the tub. Yeah. So these are the things that can tell you like whether this product is amino spiked or not. The only thing is that you're being duped at the end of the day. That's pretty much. Now, I hope this video was useful to you. Because I think I should not be doing some garbage videos of what BCA does to you, what creatine does to you, when you should take it, whole day of eating all those bullshit crap things that were done to death. Makes no sense. We should concentrate more on quality, what the people are buying, the general consumers buying, and that's why I'm trying to make these videos so that we don't get duped, all right? Now, on the next knowledge video, I'm going to talk about protogenic and non-protogenic amino acids, which essentially means, and you can go do your research, and if you did good research, you don't have to watch my video, of course, what these are like. There are 20 amino acids which are used as basic building blocks of our muscles. The primary reason why you take whey or any other protein powder for recovery. The rest of those are amino acids, but they don't help you build muscle. So those are also a wastage of money. They can do other things for you, beneficial things to you, but not building muscle. So I'm going to talk about those and see if I can shed some light on those so that becomes helpful. That's pretty much it about this video. I hope you liked this video. If you did like, do leave your thumbs up. If you didn't like, leave your thumbs down, share your comments, and do subscribe to my channel. That encourages me beyond anything. And I would highly recommend that if you haven't come across this and if you find this video useful, please do share it with your friends or whoever you feel would benefit from this video. I don't want you to share those prank videos or roasting videos of mine. But if this is kind of helpful, right? So at least if you feel it was helpful, try to share it with your loved ones. So have an awesome life, folks, and until next time, ciao.